is actually rational equations. And the same things that we've done before are going to be true, okay? We're going to get rid of the fractions by multiplying through by the common denominator. We're going to make one side equal to 0. We're going to solve. And that's all that this says on the page. So if you want to take a picture of that versus writing it all down, go for it, okay? But this is stuff that we've already done. The goal is to get rid of the fractions. We're going to do that by multiplying by the common denominator, and the fractions will all go away. The key is going to be to find the correct lowest common denominator, and understanding that if you have loners as denominators and you have groups as denominators, that my denominator must contain both loners and groups. Part of a group cannot be considered a loner. We'll talk about that with the second example that we do today. And then of course you've got to make sure that none of your answers make denominators in the original equation 0. Those are those restricted values that we have to throw out. So again, all stuff that we've done before, we're just going to get a little more practice at it. Here's what I mean by check your solution. Okay, I do not expect that you plug the numbers back in to solve. Check your solution to make sure that one of your solutions or both of your solutions or however many solutions you have are not actually restricted values. I don't want you to plug it in and write it all down. I want you to understand what values would cause denominators to equal 0 and make sure that we eliminate those solutions should they come up. Okay? So actually go ahead and do this one. We've done problems like this before, so give this one a shot and let's see how you do. Factor the middle term. Yes, you have to factor that. So you should have gotten p plus 4, p minus 2, or p minus 2, p plus 4. So what is the lowest common denominator here?
P minus 2. P minus 4.
Right. P minus 2 and p plus 4. Okay. So all of these are groups. All right. And so I have to, at minimum, have both of these because that is what is in this denominator. And this denominator is contained within that. This denominator is contained within that. So my lowest common denominator is just that. So when I multiply through by it, here's what I end up with. Okay, and I just wrote the denominator that way as over 1. So you see that you can cross cancel because the p minus 2's will cancel in the first one. Both of them will cancel in the second one. And the p plus 4's will cancel. The reason I circled this is so that you realize that this is distributive property. Okay, the rest are, this is what's left over times 1. The only thing that's left is the actual numerator. So when I simplify that, that's my next step. Okay, and so again, this 2p minus 4 is this distributed combined like terms. Then I need to get the p's to one side and the constants to the other side. So that ends up giving me 7/3. How many got that? Okay, good. Now before we finish, we've got to make sure that that's not a restricted value. What are my restricted values here?
-4 and +2.
Very good. They cannot be -4. They cannot be 2. That obviously 7/3 is neither one of those. So now I can call it a day and we're good to go. Okay. Any questions? Let's look at one more. All right. Again, the check your solution does not mean plug it back in. It's verify that you do not have a solution that actually is a restricted value. Okay. Go ahead and give this one a shot. Actually, I want to make sure we all have the correct lowest common denominator before we get too far along. Okay. So in this case, I have a group, a loner, and a loner. So I need to find the common denominator for the loners. I need to find the common denominator for the group, and then I put them together. So since there's only one group, there has to be an x plus 3 in there. Okay, what's the common denominator for the loners going to be? 18. Okay, good. So my lowest common denominator is 18 times the quantity x plus 3. So go ahead and do that one now. Here's what I find interesting, okay, because sometimes when you'll see a loner as x and you'll see an x plus 3. Some of you will say the lowest common denominator is just x plus 3, but yet nobody wanted to say that 3 was contained in here and somehow that needed to be covered. Okay, that doesn't happen. So keep in mind that the groups and the loners are separate ideas and you have to have parts from both. So when we get it set up, here's my setup, okay? And what you have to be careful of is not forgetting parts of the terms, all right? So I do my canceling, we're good. This first one's fairly easy, right? The x plus 3's cancel, I'm just left with 72. Here's where I have a little bit of an issue, okay? You've got this 5 up here, but you also have this 3. So you could distribute the 3 and then multiply by 5, but again, you can multiply in any order, and here's what I mean by that. For example, if I had 2 times 3 times 4, you know, you guys know that you could go 2 times 4 times 3 if you wanted, or 3 times 4 times 2. Like, the order doesn't matter. And in reality, what I have down here is 3x plus 3, and then you have this 5. It's just technically 3 things being multiplied together. The order in which you do them doesn't matter, just like up top there, okay? So for me, what I would choose to do is go 15 and then distribute the 15. Now, you don't have to. You can distribute the 3 first and then distribute the 5. But, I mean, do you want to distribute twice or do you want to distribute once? And that's what it comes down to for me. I want to save myself some time and steps and aggravation when possible. And I do have some distribution over here to do, so that's the way I would do it. It's not to say that there's more than one way to get there, and you're welcome to do it a different way, and that's fine, so long as you get to this place eventually. Alright, I'm going to combine some like terms, and I just kind of squeeze them in down there. Move the x's to one side, constants to the other. I get 48 equals 8x, and so x equals 6, but I have to check, right, what are my restricted values here? Negative 3 is the only restricted value. It can't equal negative 3, so I'm good to go. There's my answer. Okay, how many got that? Good job.